And we lock and loaded because guess what, beautiful people? We want to welcome you all to the kitchen table where we get down to the nitty gritty and we give y'all a feast. You know what I'm saying? This your boy Clay Hodges.
Trelani Michelle.
Share.
And it's your boy Willie T. What's good?
What's good? Powered by Phat Vegan. We in here. Hey, people, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a lot of great content coming y'all way. And if you don't know, here at the kitchen table, we give y'all a 3-course meal and we give y'all a to-go box. We got the appetizer, the entree, dessert. And again, like I said, we got the doggy bag, as we said. The doggy bag. But hey,
Doggy bag.
What's our appetizer? I think our appetizer should be what we was talking about before.
We were just talking about,
yeah. And we was talking about this thing, Black people getting superpowers for, what is it, the winter solstice? Is that what it is?
So,
well, I had to Google it last night because I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a planetary alignment.
Yes. So break it down for us, Shad. What's going on with the superpower thing everybody talking about?
Okay, so aside from the whole Negro solstice thing, what's actually happening is December 21st is the winter solstice, which makes it the shortest day of the year, but the longest night of the year. And for the first time in, I think, 400 years, Jupiter and Saturn are lining up in perfect alignment. Which, I mean, like I said, it was hundreds of years ago. Next time it'll happen, I think they said it was like 2087 or something. I don't know, something very far away. So this is like
99.
This is huge. Yeah, we'll be old as shit by the time this happens again.
Right.
And last time it happened, we weren't even live. So it's kind of like one of those things, like a super eclipse or like a red moon, or like it's a big deal. So Black Twitter. I don't know if Black Twitter started it. Somebody can help me out. I don't even know where it started because I had to Google last night what people were talking about the Negro solstice.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then religiously, I know they say Abraham's curse is going to finally be, that's broken, that's released. And then spiritually, all of our like third eye is supposed to.
Yes. So Black people are supposed to get superpowers tomorrow, today. I don't know. One of these days.
Yes. And what we was talking about before we had put it on wax. What superpower are we feeling? And you know, I want to do this. I want to know what superpower are you feeling, if anything, and also if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be?
All right.
I thought about this so many times and I can never decide.
Me too.
I can decide. I'll let you.
Okay.
Right. So the superpower that I feel like I already possess is an extremely sensitive spirit of discernment, which means like I can feel if something's off kilter, if somebody's trying to run game on me, anything like that. I just kind of got this like sixth sense where it's just like, hey, I don't know about that, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, that's pretty practical, you know, especially when you're a rational thinking person. But if I had to choose a power, I'm definitely choosing either teleportation.
Bruh, come on.
On the terms that whatever I grab can teleport with me too.
Oh, shit.
You got conditions and shit.
This nigga got terms.
He got terms
and conditions.
Okay, God, I'm gonna need this to go with it.
Okay, Black Jesus.
You know?
So are you teleporting across time or space? Both?
No, just teleporting from point A to point B.
Okay.
I guess if you want to include the ability to travel through time, yeah, I'll take it. But I mean, how many places am I going to be safe?
Yeah.
Right.
We were literally talking about that at work.
About this. We really were. It's like, okay, well, this is the when white people and Black people are talking about like the differences in reality. This is one of those moments. White people can be like, oh, I'd love to travel back to the medieval times. And it's like, well, I'd love to as well, but what will my life be like?
Maybe not.
I mean, it depends on where you go.
I don't want to be called a Moor.
Yeah. You feel me?
But I think when people are talking about where they go, they're talking about by the European standard that we've been taught. You know, like we're thinking medieval. If you think medieval, you're thinking Europe. You're not thinking Africa because we didn't learn about Africa during medieval times.
Man, the funny part is racism is like a UK originated thing. Like in the way
construct of race or
racism, kind of like how like they left the UK because they didn't want to be bothered, and then they turn around and bother a whole bunch of people. And then, you know, you have people like the architects of apartheid coming to the US to learn how can we better be racist because they're so good at it over there. And then they take that shit back. Yeah, they take it back.
When you think about it,
it's
like
crazy,
these people
right?
literally solved the racism here and said, "Ooh, great example. Let's literally go across oceans.
We're exporting hate, which is
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even us. I can't even say we, because most of us want to just live in peace.
Yeah.
I'm like that little black boy. I just want to live.
No, I feel you, bro. I ain't
colonizers. That's
the
what
colonizer, bro. I ain't gonna front. I fuck with you, Willie, because that's the same shit that I would get.
Oh, word?
Yes. Bro,
That's
teleportation.
good,
I always say that shit, bro. Like,
hey, you know, we could be a time-traveling, crime-fighting team.
Bro, I swear to God, I will wait till the last second to go anywhere.
Can we write a show, like an animated series, like two black guys with teleportation powers, saving the world, and like,
It's like, look.
Yeah.
I like Static Shock.
I read in my textbook. It's going down tomorrow, man. How about that, dog? We're going to 2020.
You feel me? Straight up.
We're going to 2021, actually. I ain't gonna.
I was like, you want to do this? Like, it's some things you want to change here? Okay, why are you coming back here?
We're coming back. I mean, unless I can go back and invent Google, you know.
I know, right?
Call it Wilgle.
Which, speaking of Google, did you see that they're being sued by like 10 different states?
Yeah.
So they might have to break up their search engine monopoly.
Yeah.
That's wild, right?
Like Google was already the company, right? And then they made like a parent company called Alphabet.
Yeah.
Like,
Alphabet is the holding company that owns them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and a bunch of other companies that we be using but don't be knowing. It's crazy to think about. A lot of these companies like literally are owned by it's literally just maybe a handful of fucking companies. Really, everybody owns everything.
Yeah.
That shit
That's why it's a monopoly.
That's why it's so important to retain the ownership stake in this, the value of this. It's like, okay, everyone is getting bought out. And eventually, we want to make some money too, but of course we want to do it on our own terms.
Right. Absolutely.
We choose the cost. It's always at what cost, and we choosing our cost. Yeah.
It's like Dave Chappelle. You chose that cost, dog. That's the cost you chose.
Man, leave my man Dave alone.
I know, right? We be going in on that. Let's have Dave on.
I feel bad. I'm not rich. Shit.
Like, look, man, why are you complaining? You made that decision.
Hey, man, leave my man Dave. Dave, I love you. I can't speak for those
so
two.
much.
Me and Trelani, we love you. We love you, Dave.
And actually, like, I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland for a while, and I know that's where you're from. Like, I really fuck with you.
Yo, shout out Silver Springs.
Shout out to Silver Springs.
Shout out Oxon Hill Road. What's good?
Ooh, that's a whole nother territory too. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, shout out
crazy
Dave.
over there.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I think that's good for the advertiser. We ain't get to go around. But I want to, what? Y'all want to go around?
Yeah, so I have to do teleport too, though. Yeah, I got to do that
teleport.
One too. Yeah, I got to do that one too. Yeah.
What about Sheridan? What you with?
So I always debated between. Well, I'll tell you guys the superpower that I already have.
Okay.
I forgot that one.
So I'm already a bruja. I be trying to tell people this. I be knowing things.
Yeah.
Really can attest to it. But I have the power of clairvoyance. I know things before they happen, but I don't always know when. Like, I don't always know if it's just a thought in my mind or if it's actually going to happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like the tricky part about clairvoyance. You gotta work on it to make it stronger. But with Willie, when his car got a flat tire, I knew it was gonna get a flat tire before it did. And I called him and asked him if he had a flat tire, and he didn't at the time. And then an hour later, he got a flat tire.
Yeah.
And then when we were in Atlanta, and I was like, I got a bad feeling about this house. And then the last day, So I be knowing things. But
Yeah.
I would say if
I
I
be
had
knowing.
like a super, yeah, I be knowing. If I had a superpower, I go between mind reading or mind control, which is kind of devious. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if
Yes.
I
Oh,
care
You're
that
wow,
taking
you
away
much.
about to
people's
turn
free
into a
will.
I don't.
Yes.
villain.
I don't know. It would be like that would be like a temporary. Like I just want to see this for a day. What happens out of curiosity? But truly, I would just want to fly. I want the superpower to fly.
I feel that.
You know.
Nice.
I be
That is
thinking about
cool.
that too, but I be scared. Like, what if bugs be smacking you in the face?
Yeah, you gotta go up high enough. You know, you gotta be in the
Yeah.
clouds.
I feel
Hi.
that.
And
I
you
feel
need
that.
the sunglasses.
I feel that. I feel
Yeah,
that. I'd be
don't
scared
get
to fly
sucked up into the jet. You know.
to the.
That's a
That's
real
funny.
thing. Like birds get caught up in airplane jets all the time. It's a real thing. I
Yeah.
work for Delta. Oh, the
Damn.
power
That's
that
what
I
happened to
have,
Sully.
y'all didn't get my power that I have.
Go ahead.
So I have the power to help people, like the doula of change or something like that. When people are going through like major transformations and they're debating, like, I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I shouldn't. Like, I don't know what if. Like, I have a way, I don't know how, but like, I can just like push all that shit aside and help you just go ahead and just do that shit more fearlessly.
I feel that.
Yeah. I have
Dude.
so many people like told me over time, like even the Sankofa House, so many just like, or even recently, somebody came on my page and was like, I just quit my job recently and I thought about you when I was doing it and I just did that
hell
shit.
yeah.
Or I just moved to the other side of the country or the other side of the world. I was just thinking I just did it, or thank you, or I just started this business. And so I was like, oh, I finally accepted it. I used to be like, how did I do it? Like, what are they talking? Maybe they were just,
Right.
I just stopped trying to figure it out, rationalize it, and just be like, thank you, God. Like, this
You
is
feel me?
superpower I have. Yeah.
Straight up. You feel me? I ain't
You
telling
didn't
y'all
tell us
niggas
your
mine.
superpower, Clay. That's your
God
plan.
Yeah. Which one?
dang. God dang. So I would teleport. That's the one I would have, but the super I already have, I'm gonna just keep it G with y'all, man. I'm spiritually gifted. I don't really like to talk about it, but I really am like spiritually gifted on some crazy shit. Like I see
I
shit.
just told the world I'm a bruja, so you can tell us your gift, Clay.
I got you, man. I just, you know what I'm saying? Shit be kind of, So I got down, like you say, I could see shit before it happened. I feel shit before it happened. I see shit 10 years in advance. I got this ability to bring people together. I communicate with animals and plants. Shit.
Dr. Doolittle.
Nah, man.
Damn.
It ain't even like that though. It's like it's a certain way you do it. You know what I'm saying? And
It's
like
a connection.
Explain it.
Man, my daughter does it too. Yeah.
right. So like the way animals communicate, it's like more of a feeling. It's like more from here. It's not like your mind type of shit. Like they'll communicate through feeling the energy. Like they understand us. Like they might not understand the exact words. After a while, they start understanding words from being around you, but they understand the energy and the feeling of what you're saying. And like if
So
you
is
like,
it more telepathy based?
you could say that, but it's just
Intention based, maybe.
yeah, it's
They
more,
understand your intentions.
they understand your attention, your energy, because so it's like this. So when we talk, right, these words, we're really just making noise, but it's the energy, the intention behind these words that give them power, that actually make these things mean something. So like that's what the animals get, and that's how they communicate it, without words. It's just that intention, that energy, without words. So it's like everybody can do it, you know what I'm saying? But if you just got to really pay attention to them and just look at them, and you can start to kind of tell and start to feel it in certain words and phrases and ideas that just pop in you, and you be like, okay, and you could pop them shits back.
I read a book that was talking about how plants are the most intelligent life form because they don't need sounds, words, or any utterance to communicate. Plants do communicate with each other and with everything else, but they don't need utterances. And I was just like, wow. So now, and that gave me another perspective of intellect. Like, yeah, the less you can say. And that made me even think about people and even like monks. Like the less you say, and it's like,
the higher your vibration.
That's so.
Because language ultimately is to communicate. So if you can communicate without language,
You want some shit?
You're skipping a step.
But language isn't just verbal, because there's so many different aspects of language, and the more simple, and that goes back to minimalism. The more simple you can keep it, the more powerful you are, and it is,
Like body language is so strong. When someone come in and they got a stank attitude, and it's like, what's wrong with you? You ain't even said nothing, but I just feel it.
Absolutely,
and they can change the vibration of a whole room.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the truth is, everybody could do it.
Everybody do Clay, it. What's so crazy is like I've been working before, and I'll go in a neighborhood, to do my delivery, and there have been dogs just barking at me, and I look at the dog, and in my head I'm like, shut the fuck up, like shut up, like shut up. And then the dogs just stop barking and look at me, and I'm like, did they hear me?
They felt you.
And then I just get in my car and leave, but this has happened to me like more than once, and
you could do it.
Always something I thought about.
You could do it. Everybody could do it. Some people could do it easier than others. You might could do it easily, but now that I told you that, play with it and see what happened. And it worked with plants too. Like, man, I first realized that because I was high as a motherfucker one day, and there was a plant that was sitting on the table, and that shit was just like, I just got this out of nowhere. Wasn't even talking about, out of nowhere. It was just like, I hate this pot. I can't grow like I want to. And I was like, damn, plants hate, some plants hate being in fucking pots because they can't really grow. They feel like this, like they're in jail. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, that shit made sense.
Wow.
But I was like, damn.
That's amazing. But I'll never forget the first time I ever saw this video, and it showed like kids talking to plants week after week after week, saying horrible things, and the plants died. And then you had another group of plants, and week after week they were saying good stuff to it, and the plants grew and flourished. And I think that was the moment for me where I was like, all this shit around us is a lot. Like,
but you know what?
Plants,
my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was ending. I'm just shook by the thought of what we're talking about.
No, but you're right though, and just to piggyback off of that, y'all seen the show called 100 Humans on Netflix?
No,
it's
what is
like
that?
It's pretty dope. It's like a psychological experiment with like 100 random individuals from all different backgrounds and places, and they just do like socio experiments on them. So one of the experiments was people had to do like plate spinning, and there's like 3 hosts there, but one of the hosts, his sole job was to nag half of the group and positively reinforce the other group. So no matter how good they were doing with the plate spinning, if you were in the neg group, he was like, oh yeah, but it was kind of shaky, I wasn't that impressed, blah blah blah. And that's the first round, the audition round, and then they come back and they actually perform on stage, and the group that had positive reinforcement, even the ones that sucked, they did so much better on stage because they were like, oh, I can actually do this, I'm doing a good job, versus those who were killing it and they got negged out of existence, and they're just like dropping the plates, breaking them and stuff, just feeling overall bad. And the guy was like, yeah, I know, like you were actually good, but then I negged you and then it just went to your head. So it's like the power of words is stronger than we think. That's why when people say things, even kiddingly, that are just like negative or anything, or not speaking life into a situation, I always like to just kind of go back and get the last word and keep that energy positive, because what you say is what you get,
Absolutely. That, when you said that made me just think about schools in lower income areas and higher. We tend to think of resources that they have, but it's not just resources, because at lower income, if the teacher's overworked, underpaid, then she probably has less positive messaging to give to you. And in the other situation where the teacher ratio, like I was looking up Savannah Country Day, the teacher ratio is like 1 to 10 students.
Wow.
So I'm like, so yeah, you have so much more positivity to offer. You're getting paid more. You don't have less students, less, you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's just, it's not just what you have. It's also, yes, the energy that you have to offer too. And that positive, that's yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hate it when I'm out or just thinking back, like when I see people just talking down to their kids, saying you're stupid,
Right,
like,
right.
and I know we've all seen that because
Yeah.
culturally,
Yeah.
like, we've seen it,
Yeah, I had to
and
get on a family member about that recently.
it just breaks my heart because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you were once again going back to generational. That's how you were raised. You were raised, but back one more generation and keep going back generations. That shit is some slave shit. The
Mm-hmm.
slavers taught down to us, beat us, told us we were stupid, all this stuff. So then you have that in you and you pass it down to your kids, and it's just until someone breaks the cycle, and I don't even think people realize when you're talking to your children like that, it's not gonna help them.
Right. It's
No,
affecting them.
even if they don't directly respond to it,
Yep.
it kind of gets embedded in them. And then when they're adults, they're acting ways and they don't understand why. But it's because has literally been beaten into your DNA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. So it's like, at what point do we collectively decide to change the standard? Because I hate, this is how I was raised, this is how my daddy was raised, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but if something's broken,
it has
you
to be,
can't just rely on what you know, because it ain't working, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's something we got to learn when we get our superpowers. Every superhero don't start off good.
Exactly. And with great power comes great
responsibility.
Young shout out Peter Parker.
Straight up. Man, that was
actually Miles Morales.
Yes.
That was a hell of an appetizer, people. Oh God. Man, so we getting into this entree. What the hell is we talking about? Because I don't remember. I ain't gonna lie. I don't remember.
We're talking about our journey, our own spiritual or religious journey. Yeah.
Okay.
So how are you raised and where are you today?
Yeah. Okay. Ties in perfect. You see, that's how it works. You know what I'm saying? We don't be playing around at the kitchen table. Yeah. So for the entree, just as my colleague said, we're talking about our spiritual or religious growth, our journey, where we started, where we are now, what we believe, just want to put that out there. Who wants to go first? Don't fight over it.
It's cool. I'll go first again.
All right.
So me personally, I grew up in church, right? Black parents, Southern Black parents at that. So going to church was, and it's funny because
what denomination?
So Pentecostal is how I grew up, like Kojic, Church of God in Christ. So first things first, we were just talking about formula and histories and stuff. The history of that whole denomination, it's rooted in tradition, and that makes church last so long because we got so many routines that we got to do. Like, we can't just hop straight into it. We gotta start. We gotta open up with prayer. That's understandable.
Not even Pentecostal. I didn't grow up Pentecostal, and that shit was long. Okay.
So Black church in general is long.
But
yes,
because my grandma was Baptist, and that shit was long too.
Yes.
Forever. If it's Sunday, your ass is gonna be in church.
I know, and that's the worst part. As a kid, you're like, wow, I got Friday night after school, and then I got Saturday, and that's the end of my weekend.
And then I got church.
I'm about to be in church for 8 hours. I'm gonna come home from the first service. Can't take my church clothes off because we're going back to church for the second service. We're gonna eat a little food. I see my friends out there having a great time. And my mom's like, don't take them shoes off. Don't take them clothes off. Just sit there because we're going back. I'm like, oh my God. And this is like 8 hours of my life from like the age of like 5 all the way up until I left the house. And it's strange because like my parents used to like party and stuff. They were like young and youthful. I mean, they had me, my mom's 21 when I was born. So they were still trying to party and stuff. And that's what was happening up until one day. My sister came around like 3-4 years later. So I was like, wow, I guess we're going to church. Like, and we were just throwing house parties and, everything was all good, people coming over. It was chill. And then all of a sudden it flipped. And I don't know what it was that flipped, but that's the way I was raised. And I think that contributes to how I feel now about just being in church because I went so much, and oftentimes it was against my will. I remember coming home from prom, junior prom, and I went to my old school in Charlotte to do it. And I came back at like 3 a.m., an hour drive, and 4 hours later, my mom knocking on the door talking about it's time to go to church. Like, yo, I can't get a break. I can't get a break. So now as an adult, I'm just so over it. And I don't want that to be a reflection of how I feel spiritually, but it's just like the institution of organized religion has kind of like tainted how I feel about it. And that's not even going into how you're treated by the people who are supposed to be parishioners. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just based around experience, length of time. Because I went when I was 18 years old. I went with my homie who was a Catholic to his church. Man, we got there at literally 8 a.m. and we were out at 9 a.m. on the dot. Like church ain't even started yet. Sunday school ain't even started yet at my church. And
I'll go to mass any day because you in and out. I love going to church with my auntie.
I'm like, yo, what? We done? What? We can go to McDonald's? What? I can watch football? What? Like I can actually do something with this day? This is crazy. Wow. And I don't know. I was just always attracted to that freedom because I did not have freedom of choice growing up. And as most Black kids don't, you know.
No, I think it's interesting to your experience, Willie, because you saw your parents before the church.
Yeah.
Like you saw what they were like before church. For me, I was born and my parents were already in church.
Yeah.
You know, so I think my
maybe
parents
grew up in church too. They just, I don't know. They had kids and decided they wanted to put us on the right track.
But I mean, the fact that you saw your parents having parties and living life, and then they were like, all right, it's time to be good Christians now. Right. I never saw that.
Yeah. And
you know,
don't misunderstand me. They're not like boring people or anything like that. They're just.
No, I got that. Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, at one point they were hyper religious. Now they've kind of scaled back a little bit. Now my sister and I aren't in the house, but they're still just very religious people. God comes first all the time, which is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. I just don't want to sit in church for 8 hours.
I don't know who wants to sit in church for 8 hours.
The old lady that say, take your time, Pastor.
I don't know if she wanted to be there for 8 hours either. She good for an hour or two now. You know what I'm saying? She got to go see them grandbabies. She got some Sunday food to be cooking up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, my mom left the house with it warming.
You feel me? Man, so which one of the ladies want to go after Willie? So where were you and where you at now?
I'll go. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, y'all can rock, paper, scissors, or y'all can fight.
All right, come on, ready?
Rock, paper.
Y'all gotta shoot it at some time.
What is Sheridan doing? Okay, you go.
I think the lag. Wow, I don't even know where to start.
So what was church like for you growing up?
And what denomination too? Baptist, right?
No, so I grew up, my mom grew up, oh God, I don't even know where to start. I grew up non-denominational Christian. And it's very interesting actually, because in my experience, like we grew up going to mixed churches, meaning the pastor would usually be white and the congregation would be Black, Latino, Asian, white, like everything. And we did that my whole life until the last church that I grew up in. Last time I remember going there was when they elected Barack Obama and the church basically split. And that was the end of it.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like those white people who we thought were like people we loved, and our church people, like their racism came out. It reared its ugly head, and it was really crazy because literally my church, but it was also going downhill too, because we would have a building and we wouldn't have a building, and we'd be at someone's house gathering, and it was kind of like it was already spiraling, and then Barack Obama getting elected, it was just like the split. So now my mother only goes to Black churches. Like her church is a all Black church, which is kind of funny. But so we grew up non-denominational, but she grew up Baptist. So one of her granddads was a Baptist minister and the other was a Methodist minister. So she got it from both ends. And then my dad, I don't think he grew up anything, but then he became a pastor. And we actually moved to Columbia because my dad was going to go to Columbia International Bible School. That didn't end up happening, but my parents met in the church in Charlotte. So for me, church was always like, you was always in church, you know. I didn't know who my parents were before the church. And then also I have an aunt who's Catholic. And then my other aunt is a Jehovah's Witness. So for me, I kind of grew up like surrounded by just religion, all my aunt's religions, my mom's religion, like all of it. And I guess for me, like right now where I stand, and my mother hasn't even heard me say this before, but I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't identify with Christianity anymore. Now spirituality, yes, I believe in spirituality. And I felt that in the church like that. And I think for me, like that's been the hardest part of separating from Christianity because I associate spirituality with Christianity. It's the same thing. So
what you were
it's like,
bred to
because I
believe.
know you said what?
It's what you were bred to believe.
Exactly. So how do you separate from something you believed your whole life, you know? And even still, it's like the things that I felt in the church spirit wise, like that was very real. And I know that, but I just, at this point, I'm like, I cannot agree with a religion that I can't agree with the religion they used to enslave my ancestors.
That was the rationale. And that's why I rock so hard with what's his face? Nat Turner. Because Nat Turner used their own rationale and logic against them and they didn't like it, yet still expected Black people to follow that rule when we saw it be turned around on you and literally applied to your life, and it was awful. So
and then when I just think about it logically, I'm like, okay, once I start logically thinking for myself, because everything that I ever learned in Christianity was spoon-fed to me. That's what I read in the Bible. That's what I was told to be true. That's what everyone around me told me was true. So it had to be true. I never actually thought about it. But when I start thinking about these things from the Bible, I'm like, okay, the Bible was written in a different language. It's been translated several times. Okay. Also, what do we know about history? White people whitewash it as well. Also, I was taught to believe Jesus was white my whole life, but if Jesus actually existed and he lived, like just geographically, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, on top of that, every time they talk about a woman in the Bible, she's oppressed. Like no woman ever wrote any book in the Bible. It was all written by men. So
that is actually debatable because Mary Magdalene spent the most time with Jesus out of anyone. And apparently she had a book, but they removed it in the interest of, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I can't fuck with the Bible. I'm like, this is true, but this is not true. This changed and then this didn't change. I'm like,
if you go to the Vatican City, there's like a cave underneath the Vatican that has all these ancient texts and documents, and no one is allowed to go there.
Yeah, because they took books out the Bible, right?
You know what's good. Shit.
Bro, and I can't. And then the last point that I'm gonna make about this is, and I'm not gonna name anyone specific, but I will just say that a lot of times I will see Christians going through things and they're like, oh, God's gonna get me out of this. And then I look and I'm like, you've been in this shit for 10 years. Like God, like faith without works is dead. They love to say that. So you can't sit here and have faith that God is going to help you or something's going to change without actually making a change for yourself. And I don't like that. And
God is a genie, man.
Yeah, a genie. That's how they almost treat God. And then for me personally, just like I've dealt with a lot of mental health issues, you know, and it's like growing up, I was told to pray. Like I was literally going through all of my mental health crises, and I was told you just need to go to church. You just need to pray. And I'm like, if Christianity is real, the way that it's been applied and the way that I've been taught it is all wrong. And I can't fuck with it anymore. And I'm not going to sit here and say I believe in something just because I always have.
Right.
So I don't know exactly.
Make your own
I don't
decision.
know exactly what I believe as far as religion. I just know what I don't believe. And I know I believe God is not a man. I believe God is the universe. God is everything around us. And that's what I do know that I believe.
You know how like people like to apply personification to everything though. I feel like God is just a powerful entity, not bound by gender and the physical representation of bodies like we all like to believe. And that was just a product of the patriarchy.
Exactly. And I'm like, I'd be dumb to believe there isn't some higher power that created this whole universe, because the universe is beautiful. Like Earth is beautiful, nature is beautiful. So I do believe there is a creator in a way, but I don't believe he's a man looking down on us, judging us. You know?
No, I feel you on that.
I think I'm done with my soapbox now.
For sure. Right, but thank you though. No, thank you. Trelani, what about you?
My upbringing was a little bit different. I was raised in several different households. So for a while, my mom was in the military, so she served in Saudi in the Gulf War. So during that time, I was with my grandmother in Monroe, Louisiana. She was Baptist, so we were in church all day. When my mother got, and my father, so after my grandmother passed, and when I would be with my father, he didn't go to church at all. So we didn't go to church. And that was cool, especially having to be in church all day to not going to church. That was cool. When I came with my mother and my stepfather, initially they were like, I forgot what you called them, like Easter Christians. They went to church like on, stuff like that. But then somewhere along the line, they decided to get serious about the shit. And that was so abrupt, like, because I remember just going to church every now and then, to now we're going to church every Sunday and every Wednesday. They were non-denominational too. So we weren't in church all day actually with this particular church. It was like an hour and a half, which was okay. But they also got really, and then my stepdad, something I used to really love about him before he got saved, which I didn't even know, was that a Black people term? Because I wrote that in a book one time, and in my master thesis for SCAD, I had a professor ask, like, what does saved mean? I was like, are you fucking serious? Because it's like, that's so ingrained in us. It's like, how could you not know what it means to be saved? Like, they know.
My white pastors,
none of the white kids, and even in the white kids in my class, knew what saved meant. I had to explain that to them.
What?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a regional thing.
Maybe, I don't know, but that was interesting. But anyway, so after my stepdad, so before he got saved, one, he had a bomb music collection. You remember we used to keep like towers of CDs? Like he would have like everything. And in our conversation, like he was always so cool. He had the coolest cars, music, everything. Well, now after he got saved, and I remember, it's like, for one, I remember he gave away all his CDs. And then I remember, like, he's trading in, like, he had like this red coupe, he traded in and got like this green Subaru. And then this is like, and that just like so representative of how life became. Then they put locks on like the TV, so we couldn't watch BET, MTV, nothing like that. Like, it was like a passcode on the cable. So we couldn't watch nothing. Secular music wasn't allowed in the house. Like, all of a sudden, like, just literally, it was like over a season, like, life just went bloop, bloop. And so that turned me off real big, because I wasn't born into it, and that, and then it wasn't like an easy transition. It just went from cool to strict. And then it's even our relationship changed. Like, we just started beefing from that point on. So I never really, but then I still had experiences. Like, I remember one time.
And that, you said that was your stepdad and your...
Yeah, my stepdad. My biological dad did. We didn't go to church, so. But and we had a really good relationship. So to me, yeah, church just meant like conflict, strife, and even like waking up on Sundays, it was always like, hurry up, get dressed. It was just conflict, stress. But I did like in a non-denominational church compared to Baptist, like, they taught, like, it was teaching instead of preaching, as they would say kind of often. And I like that style, because I was like, oh, I like how they explaining things and helping me to understand. Yeah. So I like that. And I did identify that there's something here, because I ain't gonna say always, but I would say since I was about 12, I understood that religion don't make sense to me, but something real is here. And I identified it because, I grew up with the Holy Trinity, God, Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ. I was like, that Holy Spirit is real. And that's just what I always took with me, that Holy Spirit aspect of it was real. And now today, I just identify, my religion being spirit. I pray the spirit. The spirit is what keeps all of this together. Like, spirit is what's most real to me. That's what identifies with me, because on my own journey, I think when I turned 18, that was 2005 was a really hard year for me. I had my son in 2005. Hurricane Katrina was in 2005. It was like, that was a really, I got evicted from my apartment, my first apartment. Like, that was a hard year. And after that, I remember I was like, I'm about to tighten up with the spiritual. So I became like a hardcore Christian. And even like I had this Facebook group called Women of Virtue. I was like leading these women, these women of 18, 19-year-olds. I was leading us to, like, we was going to be like women of Christ. Like we was together. But still stuff just it just didn't feel real. Certain aspects of it just felt like I was just sharing it because it was the right thing to do, or because it was the God thing to do, but it wasn't resonating with me. So I put all of that aside and I started studying different religions, Islam, Buddha, Buddhism, so many different other religions, just studying them from almost a scholastic point of view, not necessarily spiritual. I would adopt practices from all of them. In long story short, I just realized we're all on the same, we're all striving for the same shit, which is ultimately peace. And then from there, then I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand the role that religion plays in people's lives, and why it's necessary for many people, and why it was necessary for so many things, and even for me to get through certain aspects of my life, certain traumas in my life. But then I decided I was at a point where I was like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need a vehicle anymore. I feel like I'm good with my relationship with spirit.
Right.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with that. So that's where I am now.
And can we just for a quick moment take a look into why Black church is that way? So obviously there's a lot of people that are solely in the game because it's tax-free money, and it's people willingly coming to you to give you that money. You're not really seeking it out. Every once in a while, the pastor will complain and have a message or a sermon about tithing and offering and stuff like that. But the funny part is tithing wasn't even in the Bible until like very recently.
Really?
Yeah, like it wasn't originally in there.
Okay, I remember that verse. Malachi was 3:10.
Yeah. So it's like
that's the New Testament. Yeah. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
Yeah, Malachi's in the New.
Yeah, that's the New. So yeah, it would have been
like it's all added stuff. God himself never said, anything that we need to follow was put on stone. It's set in stone in the 10 Commandments. Yeah. Anything outside of that was inserted by some men. So I mean,
that makes sense. The 10 Commandments are the most universal aspects of the other religion.
Exactly. So then you fast forward to where we are now, and you have like a very performative Black church. You mentioned teaching instead of preaching. I feel the same way as you guys, where I get more out of someone just speaking to me regularly and help and getting the information and the word out, and the message is very clear and direct and concise. And then I feel like I'm actually learning and retaining stuff. But having some dude with a Jerry curl yell at me for 4 hours is not helping me. And I've seen it so many times. Like, you ever had like a guest pastor come, and then all of a sudden we got to come up with all this extra money to bless the pastor?
Bless him because he's here. He came all this way just to come talk to us.
His calling
for us. He left his wife and his children in a snowstorm. Bless this man.
I know. It's like, bruh, if you were called by God to deliver the word, you do that at all costs to you. It's not up to us to make sure that you walk out of here with 5 racks in your pocket.
Yeah.
We don't have to form no $20 lines, no $10 lines, no $50 lines, no $100 lines like they be doing, because I've seen it. And that turns me off so much, because at that point it's so obviously a racket that it's like you've totally perversed the word and the message that's being conveyed, and you're turning people like myself totally off to it. I mean, I believed in that for a minute. When I was in college, I got in a car accident. I ended up getting the 350 racks. So the Bible, and my mom was like, yo, you gotta
$35,000 in it.
Yeah. And I gave $35,000 to my pastor, which helped him build a whole brand new church. And this man told me for ages, because I was trying to go to SCAD, I was trying to get in the film thing. He was like, oh yeah, I got contacts in Atlanta at BET. I can call them up and put you on and all this stuff. And he was saying that to me for months and months and months, and years passed, and I guess he couldn't deliver, so he just stopped talking to me altogether.
Wow.
Like, I'd show up at church, and I wasn't there all the time because I was in school and stuff. So when I came, it's very obvious I'm the biggest nigga in there. I just got no interaction from the guy at all. And it's like, bro, I just bought you a car, because clearly that's where that money went, because his wife had a Mercedes. He had a like large brand new Yukon SUV.
And that's the part that and not to cut you off, Willie, but that is the sickest part of Christianity to me. It's a fucking scam. Like, this part of it.
Well, is that fair to say that's put that on Christianity, or put that on the men? Right.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry, in my mind, it's all the same. It's all the same, because
but it's not though. But it's not.
I experienced the other side of the coin, you know. Like, because for me growing up, I grew up in some really good churches. Like, my pastors was genuine. You know what I'm saying? They never really pressured us for money and stuff like that. We just probably really even gave more because of that. And it was more so of a sense of community. It wasn't just you paying for me to get a car. Like, this money was going into programs and shit like that. Summer school programs. They used to give us lunch in the summertime like that. And been times where that was a clutch ass meal for us. You know what I'm saying? For the people in the neighborhood. So it's like, I realized that everybody ain't like that. So for me to come from a good church, you know what I'm saying? And then when I go out in the world and I start seeing that everybody don't have these good intentions that's using this vehicle, it kind of be like, damn, that's fucked up that, you know, somebody would really do that. And there's actually people out there who really would start a church just to make money. And that's fucked up.
I mean, you dealt with Katrina, right, Trelani?
I'm sorry?
You dealt with Katrina?
Yeah.
You remember Joel Osteen? Was that for Katrina, or was that for Harvey, when Joel Osteen didn't let those refugees into his church?
I think that was Harvey.
That was Harvey?
Yeah. But either way, yeah.
But he's like the gold standard for churches, you know what
I used to watch him on TV.
It's him, it's TDJ,
Paula White. There's so many.
Exactly. And none of these people, you won't let people into your church to be a refuge for the people as God told you to be, yet you'll take we're all getting $600. That man got 4.4 million.
Yeah. But I hate that, because people like that, it has tainted the religion. And too, I always try to make it a point to say, you know, Christianity, yes, white men use Christianity against us, but however, Christianity did exist in Africa prior to colonization. It really did. And I think that's an important fact that people should know. I don't practice it no more, but that is the truth of the matter. And it is like Clay said, there are some really good people. It's almost like if you grew up in a fucked up household and your parents were hell of abusive, and so now you just, you know what I'm saying, bash the family unit. Like, no, that's not how family is. That's just how your parents were. But it's like, that's how some pastors are, but that's not how the church or the religion itself is. Yeah, it's just way too many fucked up people in positions of power in the church. Right. But yeah, Christianity itself.
So let me ask you guys this, what y'all think about this. So aside from the scam of the pastors asking for money, I know so many people in Christianity who, like, they won't have the money to pay their bills, but Christianity has convinced them, and not necessarily, like I said, that pastor, but this religion has convinced them that they need to go tithe at church that 10%, even though they can't pay their light bills, and God is going to swoop in and pay their light bills for them.
I will give
self-responsibility too.
It is. And in the
Yeah.
purest form, again, like the tithe is to help build a community of the church. And that money not just supposed to go into buying a pastor a car. It's supposed to go into programs and stuff and opportunities to help people. So, for example, a person who can't pay their bills, who is a member of that church, people tithe and money like that's supposed to go to help alleviate.
I should be able to say, Pastor, I can't afford my light bill, and y'all cover that for me.
You feel me? And that's like the kind of churches I come from. You know what I'm saying? I understand that it's an overwhelming amount of churches who aren't like that. It's just more so on the pastor. This is his job. He get compensated for his time, and that just be it. But like that's how I feel like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and it traditionally it was, and even back in the day when you die, like life insurance has multiple purposes, and I'm a hella strong advocate for it. But back in the day, you know, when you died, your church handled all of that. You know, that you didn't have to pay a pastor to preside over your funeral, and when you were put in the ground, your church covered that. You know, that just went that way because you were your life. You invested in that church, and that was one of the ways it returned unto you. When you got married, you know, that wasn't a fee. You know, that wasn't a fee. Now you do have to pay, you know, for officiant fee. It could be your own pastors. A lot of times you still have to pay your own pastor to marry you. But traditionally, that wasn't always the case. Right.
Right.
Nigga, you probably Christian me.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
But you know, it's unfortunate because there have been several experiences where I was like, wow, this is great. And then the unfortunate side is the uncool experiences really taint your overall image of it. So whereas Clay grew up in a solid community-based church, we were going to churches that we felt a good Black vibe from, because we tested out multiple churches. When we were military kid, we moved all the time, so we were always finding new churches. So I've literally been a member of at least like 5 or 6 different churches in my life, just from the simple fact that we moved and we still got to worship. So you know, it's one of those things where like I've seen the dynamic of like a good church and what that would be like, but then I've also seen the bad side of it. And then I've also seen, like, I've been to churches where the pastor left because of personal family issues and stuff. I've been a part of churches where the pastor was cool, but you can still tell he was in it for the money. But you were still getting a message, so it's all good. And I've been to churches where it's like, oh, okay, this guy, I really feel like this guy is practicing what he's preaching. And I mean, I like it when my pastor
like the dating
has a
pool
job.
sound like.
Yeah, it really is. It's like
find one that resonates with you. Yeah,
exactly,
because it is a relationship. Yeah,
it is. Let me just go real quick, and we're gonna get to the dessert. So like I say, I grew up in the church. Like my mom is a piano player. My mom has been a choir director for damn near every church we ever went to in my life. But when we stayed,
so that's why you in the music game.
Yeah, my mom's and my pops played the violin, but my pops weren't really into like the church. You know what I'm saying? Like my pops more so just spiritual based. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like my mom went to church all the time. My pops didn't, and I went with church with her. And she never really like pressured me to go like that. I would just go because she would ask me to, so I would go. And like I say, I used to really enjoy the music because my church used to go in with the music because my pastor was a musician himself. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Shout New Generation, shout Pastor Dalton, you know what I'm saying? And but as I grew older, I started to study other religions like Trelani and even Christianity, and I started to realize the roots of it is from where it started to where it is now is really perverted in a sense, you know, from how people use it and abuse it. See, in religion, it's like how we was talking about like communicating with intention. It's like religion is words, you know, and spirituality is like, you know, the intention behind it. It's like a vehicle, like Trelani was saying. And so real quick, Christianity, it started in Africa, historically speaking. One of the first Bibles is an Ethiopian Bible, you know, from my research, and it's thick. You know what I'm saying? Like thick. It's thick. You know, it's a lot of stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of books. A lot of people have testimonies and accounts that haven't been included to the final version of the Bible. And you know, I ain't gonna get all into that, but you know, my story, I just started studying these different religions, studying the history of all these religions, and it made me come to the conclusion that everybody's just saying the same thing in a different way. And it just made me question why people are fighting over what's right, because we fighting about the same damn thing. And it's almost like people just speaking different languages. You know what I'm saying? Like you speak Spanish, I speak English. It's not to say English is any better, you or Spanish is any better. It's just a different language, but essentially we could be saying the same thing. Hello, hola. We saying the same thing. We might have different names for God, but at the end of the day, it's God.
Jesus and Jesus.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like we essentially saying the same thing. And to me, that makes sense because everybody is different, but we the same. And then with those similarities, we click up and we vibe with certain people who are really similar to us. That's just how I see religion. That's why some people are Christians and why some people are a Muslim, practice Islam. And that's why some people, you know, are Catholic or you know what I'm saying, Hindu, or, you know, anything and everything. It's because it's like we're different and we click with what resonates with us. But I got more into spirituality, you know what I'm saying? Because I realized that this is a vehicle, and any vehicle is cool and it's beautiful when it's used the right way. But when you learn how to move without it, you can move. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean it's any better or any worse. That just works for you, because what religion does give people is discipline. It gives them structure. Everybody can't be just spiritual without that structure. They'll go crazy. They'll fuck up. They'll relapse and do some crazy fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? Some people need that structure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like some people don't. Some people could just base it off of spirituality and just live a holistic life that way. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm just a student of life, a student of God, and I just believe that there's one God and there's many expressions of the same God. God created everything. I don't believe God is a man or woman, but if we were to categorize it, it'd be closer to the woman, because it's that creative energy, the energy of birth and life, creating life, giving life. You know, and I believe God is everything. God is beauty. God is the universe, the skies, the stars, everything, a piece of us. God is in us. You know, every single person has a piece of God in us. And they even say in the Bible, like, we are made in the image of God. I don't believe that was like physically.
Literal.
It could be, you know, it could be. I could be wrong, but what I believe is that it's the spirit. I believe they were talking about the spirit. And even with the Bible, you know, even though that they edited and they changed so many things about it, because I feel like at the root of it is truth. It's some kind of truth in there, and you can't get rid of that. And I just depend on the perspective in which you look at it and how you deliver that message. A lot of people use that Bible, they use religion to control people, and that gives religion a negative idea to a lot of people because of the bad people that use it for heinous things. You know, it's like I was watching what's that show, The Mandalorian, and the guy, the main character, hated droids because he seen the droid destroy his family. And then one of the guys was like, man, droids are neutral. They're the product of whoever is programming them.
Okay.
And I feel like it's the same thing with religion. It's the same thing. It's like, it is what you make it. Like, if you got a leader and his programming is malicious, it's going to come off that way. It's going to be that. But if you got a leader, a spiritual leader whose intention is good and they really want to help people, that message is going to get delivered that way. So like, you know, that's just where I'm at with it right now. You know, I study God, and I study the different expressions of God. And that's just where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then.
What's that?
So there's two things I want to just chat about real quick. Firstly, well, actually, let's just talk about the one music, because
Yeah,
I feel like out of the Black church, music is so instrumental and pertinent to the two that you can't really have one without the other. Like, you'll never go into a Black church that doesn't have music. Even if they just stomping their feet and clapping their hands, they're gonna be singing. So I just want to shout out the music that stems from the Black church, because most musicians that are big today started in the church. So it's like, even shout out my boy Mantis. He's a producer. He was our pianist, and we had a fire, like low-key fire band at my last church. And sure enough, he just produced a couple tracks for The Baby. He produced a couple tracks off Jack Harlow's new album. So like, there's real talent that's stemming from these churches. But is that church based, or is that just Black folks being hella talented at everything?
I mean, it's man, let me tell you like this. I feel like it's both. I feel like it's both, because like we are hella talented with damn anything we touch turn to go. Anything we touch turn to go. But also the church, because it's like the church music, it's that soul, man. It's that soul. You know what I'm saying? It's that soul. It gives you that sense of soul, you know, because of where it stems from, you know, at least culturally speaking in the United States. You know what I'm saying? Like when we would have church, you know, on the plantations, you know what I'm saying? We singing about how we feeling, what we going through, and that's helping us get through our day. It's that soul, man. It's that pain. It's that joy. And I mean, I feel like it's still prevalent in today's church music. Well, I can't say all of it, but most of it, you know, especially them old Golden Shirley Temples, you know what I'm saying? Got dang on. But yeah, you feel me? I feel like it's both.
I'll say this, one thing that I did love, because you know, I did just shit talk like Christianity. Those were just my raw feelings, you know, because like this is something my frustrations. So I don't want people to think it's something like, oh, it was all bad. Like, no, this was who I was for my whole life, you know? So like there was good too. And I think one of my favorite things about this church that I went to, and I had never experienced it in any other church. Basically, in the church, we had the musicians. And the girl who taught me to drive, still a good friend today. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but she taught me how to drive, was such a huge influence in my life. And she played the piano or the keyboard. You had the pastor's son, he played the drums. The pastor's other son, he worked for the sound system. And so we had all these musicians, and they would literally come in short church and start playing from spirit. Like they didn't play anything rehearsed. They would just start playing, and spirit would come down and just give them music, and they would play together. And it was just, and we would do this for hours. And it was like one of the most magical things I ever experienced in my life, because you knew it was real, because you knew
African
these people,
as fuck too.
Yeah, but these were like white people and Black people, and like it was a mixed church. So it was just, but also the pastor, they were a musical family as well. So it just, I had never seen anything like that anywhere in my life, you know? So, and that's how I know like spirit is real. That was very real, what I felt and what I saw and experienced.
And the entrancement and all of that. And how music just opens the door for spirit. That's just, it's amazing. It's a portal.
Like portal.
It's a portal.
It's
the other world, they had opened it up. They had figured out the right tune to open it up. And they were just playing in sync. And it was just, it was the most insane thing, because you're like, these people didn't practice this. They didn't know this song before.
Because it's like music has a way of like relaxing us physically, but also like clearing out all the mental obstructions and all the shit you got to do, the shit you've been through for the week. All of that is clear, and you just so open. And spirit, you're aware of, because spirit is always there, but it's like all this other shit is blocking our awareness. And the music just opens you up.
But you know what?
It's
so, you know, Satan, when he got kicked out of heaven, according to
a musician.
The Bible, he was the angel of music. So music it has to be the most influential tool in terms of getting people to receive your message. And I feel like that's part of why every Black church is so musically inclined and leans in that direction, because it's a good warm-up. It gets your spirit ready to receive whatever message I'm about to tell you next.
That made me think about Bob Marley, like for a while, like he was in certain cities, like at the height of like whatever they were rioting, like he wasn't even allowed to perform there because they were afraid of what might incite, his music might incite
Right, because he
Wow.
understood
Yeah.
the spirituality of music. So
Right.
you know, are we talking about the intentions behind the words? Like, so think of intention and energy. Music is the physical manifestation of that, and it opens people up. It opens people up. It affects you as vibration, because
Yes.
vibrations can even move shit and float it off the floor if it's a certain vibration and frequency.
Right.
So you experiencing raw vibration, raw frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
and they have certain effects on the human body because we're mostly made of water. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
yes, and it
I
and
never
that you
thought about that.
yeah, you feel me? And it's like it opens you up. You know, that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
so influential because it opens you up spiritually to different things, and the words are the seeds. And Bob Marley was a person who understood that. That's why
Mm-hmm.
he was how he was. His music opens you up, and then he put those seeds of unity, those seeds of rebellion,
Yeah.
those seeds of seeking liberation in you. And that's why he was so dangerous. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
And you
yeah.
It's
He
know,
a
it's
didn't end
meme
up
funny.
floating around today.
DA.
It was like a lot of y'all probably depressed because of the music you listening to.
Right.
And I was like,
Exactly.
straight the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because
That's
I listen to a
real.
lot of this like modern day music, hip hop and stuff specifically, and a lot of it is dark energy music.
It is.
It,
You're
It
yeah.
is.
receiving all of this violence, vitriol, hate, just wrong ideologies, and that's it's hard, yeah, but it's not benefiting you at all. And to circle it
Right.
back to what we originally stated, which was words and sounds are literally just vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
The monks meditate to get to a higher frequency, a higher vibration,
Mm-hmm.
and that is where we are, but just down here. And it comes down to you're either going to squash your spirit and just fill it with all this heavy stuff, or you're going to lift your spirit and get to a place where you'll have a higher level of understanding, because that's just where we are. Our brains are at the top of our bodies. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I just want people to, I just say it to help people realize, like, you have to be conscious of what you're taking in,
Yeah, your diet.
because
It's
it
like we're the
sticks with
plant.
you.
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
stuff is, we talk to the plant in the same experiment. The music, we're the plant and the music is talking to us. Are you
Exactly.
negatively feeding your plant or positively feeding your plant? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I like
So,
how
Exactly.
full circle that shit.
You know what I'm saying? This is
yeah,
how we do at the kitchen table, man.
that's
We
how we
don't be
do it.
playing with them. Man, that was a delicious entree, and we want to
Yeah.
move to this dessert, man. Tell me something sweet, y'all.
Shoot. What's sweet right now?
Well, the year's almost over. Thank God.
I
Yeah,
feel
man. Look,
Can y'all believe
2021 gotta
that?
be better.
It's
yeah.
yeah,
It's
it has to be. I
it's been a
mean,
good year for me though.
Yeah, it
It's been a
has.
good year
It's been a
from
heavy year, but a good year. It's been a heavy year.
yeah. I feel like it's been a
nah.
good year for a lot of individuals.
Yes,
Mm,
It's just
individually,
collectively
collectively.
mm.
sucked, but
Hmm.
individually, as far as my 2020 has been going, it's been excellent.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I can't
excellent.
even complain. Like, and it's even for those people that it's not going excellent for, you still have health. You're hopefully, you're not dying of COVID or
Man,
whatever
they
else
still
is
got
out
Yeah.
life.
there.
They still got life.
Life, word,
You still got life. So
word,
anything that you might be going through, you can always turn that around.
word.
Always turn it around.
Yeah,
People
make the
that
best.
are, I've read some about this lady that found out she was terminally ill. So she went and got a degree, because that's a good life goal that she always wanted.
Mm,
And she got it, and then she passed away. So it's like,
mm.
it
Damn.
life can always be worse, but even in those bad circumstances, you still have the power to achieve great things.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's all about intention and vibration.
yeah.
That's we always
Mm-hmm.
talking about vibes.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just short for vibration. Keep
Mm-hmm.
the vibes up. Keep the energy up.
Hey man, I think that's it, man. God dang it. This man Willie just gave us the dessert and the
And the
to-go.
to-go box,
You
you heard
feel
me?
me?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
Hey.
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I guess my inner preacher, someone told
yeah.
me
Yeah.
That's
preacher, and I
real.
was like,
You could be a preacher, Willie. You're tall as fuck. Like, I would listen to you. I'd be intimidated. I'd be like, tall black man said this. I need to listen.
I appreciate that. And maybe, who knows, maybe life will take me in that direction in the future. But right now, I just feel like I can spread a greater, larger, grander message.
And that's what matters. Yeah, the platform does it.
Right.
The
and
message does.
I do want to say this too before we head out, because people told me that the same thing. I was going to be a preacher too, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized that the times are different, and the time and what a preacher is going to mean something a little different.
Yeah.
So me as a music artist, me as a show host, an entertainer, a personality, I'm a preacher.
Yeah.
I'm preaching to people. I'm preaching to my people. You know what I'm saying? We all are preachers.
Yeah. I'm a writer. Yeah. That's how that's how I get the message out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, man, everybody, you a preacher too. You listening right here. Even if you just talking to your children or your friends or your family, everything that you say matters. Everything that
to
you
yourself.
Say right to yourself, man. Intention, put intention to it. Beautiful vibes, man. And that's what we wishing for everybody who's tuning in to the kitchen table. Please make sure you subscribe to Phat Vegan TV. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's always beautiful people, and I hope you enjoyed this installment as much as we did creating it for you. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.